الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
أقيموا صفوفكم واعتدلوا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوه يحاسبكم به الله فيغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون. لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we'll be continuing with our weekly Team Fajr program, starting off with the morning du'as, and then inshallah we'll have our dars and tazkiyah by Mufti Minhajuddin, followed by our community breakfast. We encourage and invite all the brothers and sisters, inshallah, to stay back and benefit, inshallah. Jazakullahu Khairun.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا. اللهم بك أصبحنا وبك أمسينا وبك نحيا وبك نموت وإليك النشور. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت، خلقتني وأنا عبدك، وأنا على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعت. أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت، أبوء لك بنعمتك علي وأبوء لك بذنبي فاغفر لي، فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. أصبحنا على فطرة الإسلام وعلى كلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا مسلما وما كان من المشركين. اللهم ما أصبح بي من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك، فلك الحمد ولك الشكر. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الهم والحزن، وأعوذ بك من العجز والكسل، وأعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل، وأعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت، عليك توكلت وأنت رب العرش الكريم. ما شاء الله كان، وما لم يشأ لم يكن. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. أعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير، وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من شر نفسي ومن شر كل دابة أنت آخذ بناصيتها، إن ربي على صراط مستقيم. اللهم عافني في بدني، اللهم عافني في سمعي، اللهم عافني في بصري. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم عافني في بدني، اللهم عافني في سمعي، اللهم عافني في بصري. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم عافني في بدني، اللهم عافني في سمعي، اللهم عافني في بصري. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الكفر والفقر. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من عذاب القبر. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الكفر والفقر. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من عذاب القبر. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الكفر والفقر. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من عذاب القبر. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم رحمتك أرجو فلا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين وأصلح لي شأني كله. لا إله إلا أنت. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق.
There's a request for dua shifa and dua maghfirah. Sister Faiza Vaid is requesting dua shifa for her grandmother in Pakistan. She is currently ill, so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants her complete shifa. اللهم رب الناس أذهب البأس اشفي أنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك شفاء لا يغادر سقما. And one of our dear brother Ahsan, one of his dearest friends, Atif Al-Hassan, he passed away last Friday. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive him, overlook all his sins, and grant him the highest level in Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. Continuing with the Kitab al-Hikam that I have been sharing a few times in the past, Hikam of Ibn Ata'illah Iskandari. This is a work in which Ibn Ata'illah rahimahullah has mentioned timeless pearls of advice and beautiful words of wisdom. This is the chapter on time and its importance, the importance of time. He says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, إحالتك الأعمال على وجود الفراغ من رعونات النفس. إحالتك الأعمال على وجود الفراغ من رعونات النفس. He says, your postponement of deeds. The postponement you do, you delay it, you say that, okay, that's a great idea, a great good deed. It's an amazing thing to do, but I'll definitely do it. It's not that I'm against it or I don't think it's a righteous deed. However, I'll just delay it a bit. Why am I delaying it? Your postponement of deeds till the time when you are free. Ala wujud al-faragh. As soon as I get free with this task, as soon as I get done with this, then definitely like I fully intend to do that. Min ru'unat al-nafs. This is one of the frivolities. This is one of the deceptions of the nafs. And we are all guilty of this, and we are all a victim of this, and we can all relate to this. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you see in the books of hadith, then just like there are chapters of good deeds, then there are specific chapters that speak about babul musara'a ila al-khairat, rushing and running to do good deeds. Because there are different deceptions of the devil. If he can, he'll try to change a person's aqidah altogether. If he loses his faith, then that would secure his mission 100%. The person would be deprived of entering into Jannah, as najat and salvation is dependent on aqidah, having the correct belief. If he fails in that, then he will try to get a person involved in major sins, so that he would most likely, unless Allah forgives him, will also enter Jahannam. Which is his, as human beings, Adam and awlad of Adam, children, descendants of Adam alayhi salam, are his sworn enemies. Inna shaytana lakum aduwwun mubin. He's our open enemy. And if he fails in that as well, then he will try to disturb our ibadah or delay our ibadah, make us procrastinate our ibadah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given us so many different hadith about not falling into this trap. اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Value 5 before they are replaced by 5. This is a very well-known hadith. اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Value 5 before they are replaced by 5. صحتك قبل سقمك. Value your health before it is replaced by sickness. And غناك قبل فقرك. Value when you have the wealth to spend in the path of Allah before it is taken away from you, before you lose it. When you are sahih, صحتك, when you are healthy, you can do so many deeds and you wasted those opportunities. Now when a person is sick, he's in a long-term hospital, he became disabled, he became handicapped, he has all these issues. He wishes, I could have done this, I could have done umrah, I could have done tawaf, I could have done many physically heavy good deeds that require physical strength, but he does not have the ability. A person had a lot of money, subhanallah, he could have spent, he invested in Tesla or in some other company, subhanallah, and now, he had it there. He could have sold it in that time, spent it, now it's gone. At least it's a paper loss. But if he sells it now, so it's gone. So this money comes and goes. صحتك قبل سقمك فراغك قبل شغلك. Number 3 is that what we're talking about here, that if you have some time, free time, value it before it becomes occupied with other tasks. And شبابك قبل هرمك. Value your youth before old age. And if a person says, I'm not young anymore, I'm I'm old, I'm not healthy anymore, I am sick, I'm not rich anymore, I'm poor. So I'm not free anymore, I'm busy. So all the four are gone. So then the last thing remains. Hayataka qabla mautik. Value your life before death comes. So are you still alive? Okay, there you go. You still have a chance to fix things up. Oh, I wish I was young. No, it's not going to come back. فَيَا لَيْتَ الشَّبَابَ يَعُودُ يَوْمًا فَأُخْبِرُهُ بِمَا فَعَلَ الْمَشِيبُ. Oh, I wish the young age could come back. Then I would inform it that, look, this is what the old age has done to me. As the poet says. So the young age is not coming back. The free time is not coming back. Maybe the health is not coming back if it's a terminal sickness. And perhaps the richness may not come back, but you still have life. So value what you have. Your postponement of deeds till the time when you are free is one of the deceptions of the nafs. When a man becomes involved, that was the actual words of Shaykh. And then the commentary is, when a man becomes involved in worldly affairs, there is no end to its ramifications. When there is no end to man's worldly indulgences, there is no end to the indulgences that we have. Because it's not that, okay, I'm going to chase after the dunya to a certain point and then I'll be happy. Then I can turn towards the deen. Because that moment is never coming where the nafs says it's okay, it's sufficient. This has been mentioned very explicitly by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran and by the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Al-hakum takathur. Takathur is the desire for kathra and more. Al-hakum takathur, the desire for more and more and more. This has destroyed you, has brought halaka upon you. Hatta zurtumul maqabir, until you are being lowered into the grave. Hatta zurtumul maqabir. Kalla sawfa ta'alamun. ثم كلا سوف تعلمون. Nay, very soon indeed you will see the reality. You will learn the reality. This is علم اليقين. كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم. You will see with your own eyes the blazing fire. ثم لترونها عين اليقين. Then you will see it with the eye of certainty. So when we hear these ayat, we should have the علم اليقين, the knowledge, certain knowledge. Then when we will see it, may Allah protect, there will be ayn al-yaqeen, eye of certainty. But we definitely do not want to have the haqqul yaqeen. Haqqul yaqeen is the actual physical experience of the fire of Jahannam. ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. Then on that day you shall be asked about the favors of Allah. Allah Fatana. So, al-hakum takathur, the desire for more will destroy you. And there was a Jewish journalist in Austria. Later on, he accepted Islam through this ayah. Muhammad Asad, rahimahullah. And Muhammad Asad, he said that he noticed that this ayah is truly painting the picture of the human psychology, that how we are running and chasing after the dunya. And he said it is the creator of the human beings who could have described it thus. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said that لو كان لابن آدم وادي من ذهب. From the top of the mountain peaks all the way down the mountain, and you go across the valley, the river, then on the other side if there's another mountain, and then you keep on climbing the other mountain on the opposite side, the other mountain range, all the way to the peak of the other mountain. So this entire area in between is known as a wadi, the valley. And if this entire valley was considered to be one vessel, one bartan, one dharf, one container, from the tip of the mountain range on one side to the tip of the mountain range on the other side, we have to imagine that that is the rim of the bowl. It's a very big bowl. So if this whole vessel, لو كان لابن آدم واديا من ذهب, if this entire vessel from one mountain range to the other mountain range is filled up to the brim, to the top, from peak to peak, min zahab, with gold. I think that's enough gold for who? For just, not for the world, for one human being. Li ibni Adam. One human being, he has an entire valley full of gold. So you have to make tasawwur of that, meaning you have to imagine that much gold for a second. It's a lot of gold. It's like truly a lot of gold. Then what would happen? Would he be happy at this point? لَتَمَنَّى أَن يَكُونَ لَهُ وَادِيَانِ. He'll be planning and desiring, how can I have 2 valleys of gold? Huh? What can you say now? You have 1 valley of gold, but hey, that's enough. It's more than, you know, you talk about 7 generations. I think this is more than 70 generations cannot even spend that. لَتَمَنَّى أَن يَكُونَ لَهُ وَادِيَانِ. He'll want to have 2 valleys. Then the question will say, okay, fine. If that's the case, what will make him fill? Is there anything that will fill him? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, yes. There is something that will fill him. وَلَن يَمْلَأَ فَاهُ إِلَّا التُّرَابِ. What will fill his mouth and his belly is the dirt of his grave. Chalo ye khilate hain. If we give you this dirt, now you're okay, you're full? Yeah, I'm full now. So if you say that, hey, when I finish this task, when I finish earning this much, when I finish doing that, then I'll go back and do da'wah and do amal and do sadaqah and do nawafil. Yeah, that's all great stuff, but I just got to get this done. This task and this dunya will never ever finish. It's such a simple fact, we can all understand it, comprehend it rationally. Problem is that when it comes to practice, then we forget, all of us. It's not some deep concept that is too hard to grasp. And the reality stares us in our face. But it's this nafs ammara bisu does not allow us to implement. So we have to kill this nafs ammara. Bara muzi kumara gar nafs ammara kumara. You have killed a really, mu'zi means something which is painful, inflicting pain. Aza is pain. This nafs ammara is mu'zi, it's causing you so much pain. Bara muzi kumara gar nafs ammara kumara. You have killed something really that is tormenting you if you're able to kill this nafs. Allahumma ja'alna minhum. When there is so he says, when man becomes involved in worldly affairs, there is no end to its ramifications. When there is no end to the man's worldly indulgences, it is simply the indolence and stupidity of his ego to postpone righteous deeds. Frankly, it is his stupidity, nothing less than that. Moral reformation and spiritual uplifting for the future, he is postponing his righteous deeds, he's postponing the moral reformation, his islah, and the spiritual uplifting for the future, under the notion of obtaining a time devoid of worldly affairs. He has a notion, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a time. This time which is devoid of worldly affairs. Allah Ta'ala says in Surah An-Nur, this is kasarabin, biqi'atin, yahsabuhu al-dham'anu ma'a. This is a mirage. I remember in physics class we learned about the mirage, right, in optics, that through the light of the sun, in the particular circumstances, when a traveler is traveling in the desert. This one is the mi'raj, Laylatul Mi'raj in Rajab. We're not talking about mi'raj, we're talking about the mirage, right? So the mirage, M-I-R-A-G-E, you add the E at the end. So it's the mirage. The mirage is when a person is traveling in the desert and he's very, very, very thirsty and he doesn't have water and he thinks he's going to die. So he sees glimmering in front of him, he just needs some water to survive. He just wants one sip of water, but he sees a whole glistening pool of water. It's a lake. Allahu Akbar, it's so enticing. He says there's a lake of water coming up. يَحْسَبُهُ الظَّمْآنُ مَاءً. Then he's running towards it, he thinks it's water. حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَهُ. When he comes there, لَمْ يَجِدْهُ شَيْئًا. Then he remembers his lesson in physics. Oh, this is what the teacher talked about. That this is a reflection of the rays of the sun, and he creates an image, a mirage, a fake image that there's water. لَمْ يَجِدْهُ شَيْئًا. He finds no water there. Moral reformation, so he's postponing righteous deeds, moral reformation, spiritual uplifting. Why? For the future. Under the notion, I will obtain a time that was devoid of worldly affairs. Never gonna come. Man in this sense is destroying his present time and in his stupidity is waiting to acquire a time of which he is uncertain. Life can come to an end without a servant ever obtaining a period of free time, for death often makes a sudden appearance. Everybody, we have a Google Calendar or Apple Calendar. I don't know, Apple has a calendar, wallahu alam, or you have different calendars, physical, virtual. But so we have different events, work events, social events, family events. If you're a good father or mother, you may have like your children's different events that you got to attend, your own events, so-and-so walima, so-and-so this. But does anybody have schedule on there? Okay, this is the day I'm going to die. It's not penciled in there. No one knows. So it's going to come suddenly. And we cannot delay it when it comes. لا يستأخرون ساعة ولا يستقدمون. Not a single second can be delayed. An intelligent man, therefore, is the one who values the time he has obtained in the very moment that it exists. Value this second right now. He does not postpone the work of the deen for the later time, nor does he wait in anticipation of free time. Sitting, anticipating, when I'm free, this is what, frankly, very foolish. But the thing is, that's kind of mean. You can't say someone's a fool, but guess what? We're all in the same boat, frankly. We're all fools. That's why we're here, trying to get out of our foolishness. The speaker is more a fool than any listener here. The attainment of which is improbable. He's waiting for a free time which is improbable. If, however, the worldly affairs that occupy one are permissible activities, one should continue therewith and involve oneself simultaneously in invocation and righteous actions, in du'as and amal salihah. If the affairs a person is involved in is unlawful, one must abandon them. Meaning, if you're involved in unlawful haram things, that's delaying you, of course. What is that? No-brainer. Just stop doing the haram. And if you're involved in halal things, then along with those halal pursuits, let us start making dua. Let us start doing righteous deeds. The next one, he says, حقوق في الأوقات يمكن قضاؤها وحقوق في الأوقات لا يمكن قضاؤها إذ ما من وقت يرد إلا ولله عليك فيه حق جديد وأمر أكيد فكيف تقضي فيه حق غيره وأنت لم تقضي حق الله فيه. He says that حقوق في الأوقات يمكن قضاؤها. There are some obligations at times that it may be possible for you to fulfill them later on if you miss them. And on the other hand, حقوق في الأوقات لا يمكن قضاؤها. There are other obligations which are binding upon you every single moment that it is impossible for you to fulfill them if you miss them. Some obligations, if you miss them, you may fulfill them later. Other obligations of Allah, if you miss them, you will never be able to make it up. Because there's not a single moment wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not hold against you a new obligation. Every single moment there's a new obligation. So how are you going to be fulfilled past obligations? If you try to attempt to do that, it'll be at the cost of missing out on the current obligation. Somebody will say, wait a second, every single moment there's a new obligation? It's explained in the commentary. So he says here, Bismillah, there are two kinds of obligations upon the servant. The first kind pertains to ibadat. These rights of Allah, they become obligatory at fixed times. So first simple example, textbook example comes to mind is what? Salawat. Inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta. The salawat are prescribed at specific times. So if a person missed the Fajr, he'll say, okay, that's not a good idea, I shouldn't have done that, but now that I've done it, I can make it up, I can make qada. You miss any prayer, you make qada. You miss the fast, you make the qada. Such as salat and som. Salat daily, som of Ramadan. If these obligations are not discharged at their appointed times, it is possible to redeem them by executing these acts of worship at some other time through qada. The second type of obligation, it concerns the obligation of the time itself. The muqtada al-waqt, the time itself demands from you something. These obligations apply at every single moment. There is no separate fixed time for them. These are the huquq, not of, you say huququllah, these are the huquq of the waqt. These are the rights of the time itself. And when are you not in a condition where time is not passing? Time is perpetual along with your existence. Every moment of your life there is time. So what are we talking about? Obligation of the time, we never heard of that one. What he's trying to say here is time in this context refers to the states that continually occur to the servant. We are always going through some ahwal, and those ahwal have their demands. These states are four kinds. So four ahwal. We are either going through bounty, ni'mah, calamity, musibah, obedience, ta'ah, and sin, ma'siyah. So we are always going through one of these four conditions. We are in a state of ni'mah, calamity, musibah, obedience, ta'ah, and sin, ma'siyah. Any given time that we are in, the abd, the slave of Allah, will certainly be in one of these four states. So these states, they also have an obligation that are due to Allah during the presence of these states. When a person is going through the state of ni'mah and bounty, wajib is shukr, showing gratitude. When a person is going through the condition of calamity, musibah, the obligation is sabr. When a person is going through ta'ah, obedience of Allah, the obligation is that he must recognize that this ta'ah is through the tawfiq of Allah. He must have the perception of the grace of Allah upon him to grant him the ability to do the good deed. And when a person is going through ma'siyah and sin, the obligation of that time is to be in a state of, afterwards, tawbah. Allah, this is definitely going to happen. Allah, and they say in English, it's a matter of when, not a matter of if. When and not if this happens. Or if and when. Right? But they say when, meaning this is definitely, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So likewise, Allah Ta'ala says that, He doesn't say, وَإِن فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً أَوْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُم. He says, وَإِذَا فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً أَوْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُم. He doesn't say if you commit a sin. He says when you commit the sin, because you're definitely going to do it. وَإِذَا فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً. When they commit the sin, أَوْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُم. They wrong themselves. ذَكَرُوا اللَّهِ. They make dhikr. They remember Allah. فَاسْتَغْفَرُوا لِذُنُوبِهِمْ. Then they remember Allah and they seek forgiveness for their sins. وَمَن يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ. Who else can forgive sins besides Allah? And so at this point, it is for this reason that the ulama of the past have said that a salik, the one who is traveling towards Allah, is the ibn al-waqt. Ibn al-waqt means he's the son of the moment. Meaning every moment he is not letting go by, he's doing the best and most productive thing at that moment. He's cognizant of the time. He's fully and perpetually engrossed in the discharge of the obligations of time. Ibn al-Waqt. Allahumma ja'alna minhum. And to conclude, we have ما فات من عمرك لا عوض له. ما فات من عمرك لا عوض له وما حصل لك منه لا قيمة له. He says that part of your life that has gone by, is irreplaceable. And that part of your life which has arrived and is remaining is priceless. What has gone by is irreplaceable, and what is remaining, there's no price for it. If you say that part has gone by is irreplaceable, oh, that's so sad. But then guess what? That which has arrived is also priceless. The moment that's coming, just coming now, every second, the new moments that are coming, they're priceless. No compensation can ever be offered for man's time that has expired. So you cannot buy the time that's gone by. Therefore, the time that one obtains at present is also priceless. So if you say that, subhanAllah, I just wish I could have one more day, and I would give anything so that I would have one more day. When a person is dying and the angel of death comes to take his soul, Imagine he has that whole Wadi of Zahab, the golden valley. Not a golden cup or a golden vessel, but the whole golden valley. If he has a golden valley, he'll say, I'll give that valley of gold for one day. He's willing to make that bargain. He thinks it's the best deal he could ever have, just for one day. He cannot be able to buy that one day, yes? He cannot buy it. But guess what? You have the day today. Why is the value after it's gone? Why not? It's the same value before that you have. So the day that has gone by is irreplaceable, and there's no way, there's no price for it. You can never get it back. But you have the day right now. Why don't you realize? You realize the value after it's gone? How about the day that's here today? I wish I could go back to the first day of my marriage and make things straight. I messed everything up. I wish I could go back to the first day of my studies. I wasted time, now I'm failing the exams. I wish I could go back to the first day of this, that. But guess what? You can't do that. But today is the first day of the rest of your life. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. You have the rest of your life. Like your marriage is a set number of days. Your study is a set number of days. Then you have the rest of your life. And the first day of the rest of your life is which day? Today. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. No compensation can ever be offered for man's time that has expired. Therefore, the time that one has at present is what? Priceless. The entire earth with all its possessions cannot buy such a thing. And such a thing which has the potential to bring everlasting happiness for one who uses it wisely. This time, if you use it wisely, it will bring everlasting happiness. It is precisely for this reason that the pious predecessors, the Salafus Salihin, treasured their breathing, taking a constant reckoning of every breath. Never would they destroy a single moment. According to one hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ, the moment that a servant spends in forgetfulness, in state of ghafla, will be a cause of regret for him. But at that time in the future, once one has passed from this world, remorse will be of no avail. لَن يَتَحَسَّرَ أَهْلُ الْجَنَّةِ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. There will be no hasra and regret of the Ahlul Jannah in Jannah إِلَّا عَلَى سَاعَةٍ مَرَّتْ بِهِمْ لَمْ يَذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ فِيهَا. Except for that moment that passed in the worldly life in which they did not remember Allah. And ultimate last thing I want to end with is that al-khidlanu kullu al-khidlan. See, the actual hikam of Ibn Ata'illah were random scattered pearls, like all throughout that work that he mentioned in his khawatir, in his talks, that were put together. Then this is the tabweeb al-hikam. They made a bab. So they went through them and they found different words that pertain to a specific topic, and then they were put together in these chapters. So that's how you have these chapters on like ikhlas and tawbah and shukr and different chapters on dua, on suhbah, companionship, moderation and fear and hope, etiquettes of dua, knowledge. The reason I'm mentioning that is because they went together and found they searched through it, the scholars, and they found the ones that relate to a similar topic, and they grouped them and they made the chapter. So therefore, some of these words, there will be some repetition, and he's mentioning the same point in a different way. So the last one in this chapter, so it's done, is al-khidlanu kullu al-khidlani. Al-khidlanu kullu al-khidlani. أن تتفرغ من الشواغل ثم لا تتوجه إليه وتقل عوائقك ثم لا ترحل إليه. He says it would be disappointing, really, really disappointing. That's why he says it twice. الخذلان كل الخذلان. It would be disappointing. It would really be disappointing if you were to find yourself free of distractions. You already covered that you're never going to be completely free. You're going to always have something to do. But relatively speaking, your engagements in worldly things has become less. You have less distractions. And you still do not head towards Him, meaning towards Allah. You're still not focused towards Allah. Or if you were to have fewer obstacles, and then you are still not moving on to Allah. So for example, I mean, you can always have something to do. But if a person has now retired, or has taken, mashallah, early retirement because he earned so much money. So he was chasing material so much and he never had time, but now he has. Or, you don't have to wait till you're retired. Right here in the dunya, we are so busy in our youth or middle age, but then now you're in itikaf. You literally give everything up and you're sitting in the masjid, man, for 10 days. Of course, you have this phone that's connecting you to the World Wide Web with you. That's a problem. But you're in itikaf. Or you left everything, you're in Umrah 2 weeks, you're in the Haram. So you don't have, to log in to your work or sign in. You're here, you're off, you have vacation. So he says it would be disappointing, really disappointing, if you were to find yourself free of distractions and then you still do not head towards Allah. You have fewer obstacles and then you do not move on to Him. This is bigger tragedy. He says, now the commentary, it does not matter to what extent man is involved in worldly affairs and in the execution of family duties. He's still under the obligation at all times to turn to Allah and remember Him. So execution of worldly affairs and family duties is no acceptable excuse. Ibadah and worship of Allah is obligatory on him in all circumstances. It is therefore essential that he casts aside the redundant affairs of this world and contents himself with basic needs. So we have to have qana'ah and contentment with our basic needs. If we're going to continue to chase after more dunya, we will never be free of this rat race. If all of his time is consumed in worldly matters, leaving no time for building up a capital for the next world, the akhirah, then indeed the servant will find himself in complete disgrace and total loss. This will be his greatest misfortune. His excuse that I will never find time to obey Allah will not be acceptable. Yet if a man has perhaps sufficient wealth to free himself of excessive involvement in worldly affairs, but fails to apply himself to obeying Allah, then he ruins his life in forgetfulness, play and amusement. His disgrace, his misfortune, his destruction are multiplied manifold. Indeed, his plight is most pitiful. He had acquired the priceless treasure of time, and then he destroyed it himself, meaning he destroyed any benefit that it could potentially offer him. Alas, for such a one. Allahumma fathna amin. May Allah protect us from being among such people who are blessed with the great ni'mah of time, and then we are blowing it away. Just like there's a book, Shaykh Abdul Fattah Baghudda rahimahullah, very valuable book. I believe it has been translated in English. It's called Qimatu Zaman Inda al-Ulama, the value of time Inda al-Ulama, with examples of ulama, because this is something theoretical. And then we want to see practically how it's implemented. And we can see that through the examples of our pious predecessors, how they value time. Like mind-blowing examples. Like one individual is, he never walked his entire life. So when I say that, you're going to think, oh my God, he was just sitting down. This reminds me of one pediatrician friend. He said, children, they learn to walk at the age of like 9. I said, what? He said, yeah, before that, they only skip and hop and run. Right? If you want to make them walk slowly in a line, maybe, or he said some number like 7 or 9, something like that. Before that, they only run around. You can't make them walk slowly. So likewise, when I say he never walked, then is because he should say, what's the purpose of walking? The purpose of walking is to go from point A to point B. So walking, you are just taking that function of reaching from point A to point B, you're just wasting more time. So you literally always be jogging and running from one task to the next task, because you get from A to B faster, you save time. So on the front cover of that book, there's a poem that I'll conclude with. He says, وَالْوَقْتُ أَنْفَسُ مَا عُنِيتَ بِحِفْظِهِ وَأَرَاهُ أَسْهَلَ مَا عَلَيْكَ يَضِيعُ. He says, why is it, وَالْوَقْتُ, that the time, أَنْفَسُ مَا عُنِيتَ بِحِفْظِهِ, it is the most valuable commodity that you have been entrusted with to guard and safekeep. أَسْهَلَ مَا عَلَيْكَ يَضِيعُ, but at the same time, it is the easiest thing that you are squandering away. The most valuable commodity you have, you are squandering it, you are wasting it away. as if it is the least valuable. The most valuable blessing, you are treating it as the least valuable thing. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala awaken us from our slumber and allow these words to have an effect from the Quran, from the Sunnah, and from the aqwal of the Salaf. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. Oh Allah, whatever words we learned and we heard and we spoke, oh Allah, grant us the ability, tawfiq to make amal on it. Oh Allah, starting from this first day of the rest of our lives, allow us to value every moment, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, we seek your forgiveness for all the moments of our lives that we have wasted away in frivolous tasks, Ya Rabbil Alameen, in useless tasks, and beyond that, worse than that, in your disobedience, in your ma'siyah, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, allow us to appreciate and value every single second of the rest of our life, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, we can never bring a day back that has passed. Oh Allah, but we still have these days that, numbered days, that you alone know how many they are left for us. Oh Allah, allow us to value them, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, forgive our sins, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Shower your mercy upon us. Make us amongst your beloved servants, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifoon. Wa salamun ala al-mursaleen. Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullahu. Inshallah, there will be breakfast served downstairs, and there's Salatul Ishraq and breakfast, inshallah. So, dua for Brother Sayyid Fahad. He's the one who is providing sponsoring the breakfast today. Let's make dua for him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him more and more barakah, inshallah. Sayyid Fahad. They're saying the Ishraq time did not start, so please proceed for breakfast, then come back, inshallah.